Okay. Hi, everybody. I know it's kind of late, but I did say I would come on today, so I did want to go ahead and do that. I actually decided that I was going to share. I'm trying to decide if I'm going to share actually two recordings this evening, but there's been a constant question in regards to why am I not taking this to other sources like the state police and other entities as such. And so I wanted to, before we got into Jeff Rogers and his sharing with us why he hasn't, why he at that point in the audio hadn't pressed charges, I wanted to, before we got there, go back, take a step back and visit Sheriff Ricky Roberts. Because that answers, is one of the audios that answers the question to why I haven't taken it to other channels, you know, to the state and things like that. Actually, in this video, or in this audio, I'm sorry, you're going to hear Sheriff Roberts pretty much throw the state under the bus. He actually makes it a point to tell me that when I basically inquired about other options or other channels to turn to, with me feeling so insecure about the support that we were getting from El Dorado, that the state wouldn't even have done half of what they did in regards to my brother's case. And so you guys are going to get the opportunity to hear that for yourselves. And there's other audios, even if I do decide to move forward with the second audio that I wanted to share with you guys regarding Jeff's explaining why the charges weren't filed. You'll hear even in that audio when I ask him about other options as far as talking to someone that could potentially be higher than them. Should I, you know, have concerns in regards to the attention that they were giving the case or the lack of. And I was steered to pretty much John Shepard, and he pretty much said that there was no one over them, which I know, you know that to be a lie. But you know, these are the reasons. And I think I have even probably one or two more audios where I tried to find out some other sources, and it was pretty much either was cut off at, you know, this is what you're dealing with, you know, anything other than this is not going to be, you know, as detailed and as helpful as we're offering you at this point. So anyway, I don't want to do a whole lot of talking. I really just want to give you the opportunity to go ahead and listen to the audios. In the first audio, it is a audio with Chef Roberts and I. Some of the things to look out for is how many counts of professional misconduct do you recognize? Also, I want to bring to the attention of, especially if you know myself, you know my mom, you know my family, how they're really, really using Mr. Clark. I'm going to call him Mr. Clark because I don't know a whole lot about him. And yes, he is my brother's paternal father, but if you know our family, you know that he wasn't around, you know, for majority of my brother's life. He came later on in life. And the reason I mention that is because he and Mr. Jeff Rogers seem to really have a connection or a relationship, or Jeff seems to be quite fond of him to the point where he's not reaching out to my mom, or he never reached out to my mom and gave her the same courtesy as he did with Mr. Clark, and neither did the other prosecuting attorney or anyone else for that matter. And my mom was there the whole time. She didn't get to take a break. She didn't get to, set him aside. She was in my brother's life the whole time. And therefore, she deserved the respect of knowing everything that was going on with my brother's case. And that was not the case. No disrespect to you, Mr. Gary Clark, but that's just the way it is. I understand whatever you and my mom had going on, that's between you and my mom. But in regards to her son, my brother, my mom was there. She was there every day of his life. And so I don't know why Mr. Rogers felt so, the need to talk to you, to respond to you, to, go to you as a go-to, which was quickly and agreeable to whatever he wanted to do. That was not okay for us. It wasn't okay for my mom neither. And understanding that when people don't quite understand the law and all of its, all of its wordings and everything, it does make them feel some kind of way, but that still doesn't excuse the fact that that was her son. She was there through the thick and the thin, the up and down, majority of his life, all of his life, when you wasn't. And for whatever reason, it was easier for Jeff to go to you versus my mother. And then he turned around, and with the special prosecuting attorney, they did the exact same thing. They went to Gary instead of my mother. So I want to point that out to you guys, because you guys are going to hear that a lot. I also wanted to point out to you guys where you hear constantly, well, we spoke to several other family members. I don't know where the several other family members came from, because there was only my mom, and as you're going to clearly realize is with me asking constant questions and things through both of these audios, that then your conversations wasn't with me. It wasn't with my brother, who's in California. And clearly wasn't with my mom. And then from there, you only have the wife, and then you have Gary. Gary does not represent several family members. For the longest, we were all we had. So, as I said, you're going to hear that several family members. That's a play on words. Okay, the other thing is, and I tried to take some notes, because I get so nervous when I get on here. I'm still nervous when I sing at church. I'm not a camera person at all. My scripture tonight is, do unto others as you would have them to do unto you, Matthew 7:12. And it's based around fair justice and equality. And with that, I mean due process, fair treatment through the normal judicial system, especially as a citizen's, especially as what a citizen's entitlement. During this time on this audio, although the acting prosecuting head attorney was John Shepard, you're going to notice that for whatever reason, everything went to Jeff Rogers. John Shepard was just a name, pretty much. Everything went to Jeff Rogers, although John Shepard was supposed to have been the acting head prosecuting attorney at the time. Officer Sanders, you're going to hear his name, and you'll hear what our conversation was in regards to him. After this conversation from this recording, Officer Sanders was an individual that we no longer got to report to, talk to, or anything. I also want you to count how many times was Sheriff Roberts supposedly at the scene. supposedly at the scene, because he mentioned several times when she approached us, I want you to take account of how many times he mentions that he was there at the scene, and then listen closely to whether or not he was actually there. The El Dorado News Time article would have you to believe that when they posted it up, that the family members was the delay of the prosecution. You're going to also hear in these audios where clearly the family was not responsible for the delay of the prosecution. The prosecuting attorney was responsible for the delay, and you'll hear that as well. You're going to also hear Sheriff Roberts admits he's aware of some wrongs that was committed by the driver in regards to breaking the law. He'll admit that, but as you all know, she wasn't prosecuted. Let's see, and I think that's, oh, this is a big one. Oh, two big ones. Also, there is Chef Roberts makes a prediction. Now, this was April, and I think I put the date on Facebook, but he makes a prediction. So listen for the prediction. He makes a prediction where he says, we will never get a conviction in the court of law. We will never get a conviction in the court of law. So make sure you listen for that, because he predicts this. I mean, he was amazing. Also, for the young lady or family and friends of that young lady who they actually went and arrested in regards to Facebook, I want you to listen for his comment in regards to social media. We had quite a bit of social media that we could have presented to them, or that we did present to them, but they told us that they do not accept social media. They told us that we could not use social media in the case because the page could have been hacked or anything. But on here, you're going to hear Sheriff Roberts say for himself, we are not the social media police. So if you're not the social media police, how is it that you can be the social media police for one case and make an arrest on it, an actual arrest for one case, but then in regards to a death, totally dismiss it? Let's listen to the audio, you guys. Uh-oh, sorry, give me just a second. Please let me know if you guys can hear it. I gotta let you go. This is Sheriff Roberts calling me.
All right.
All right. Hello.
Hello, is this Christy Manning?
Yes, it is.
This is Sheriff Roberts with the Union County Sheriff's Office, and I've got a call that returning your call, ma'am. How are you this morning?
I'm blessed. And yourself?
I am. We just got back from the prosecutor's office. The file is in his hands, and we still have a couple of, we've got one guy that we're going to re-interview, and then we're waiting on some toxicology reports, and of course the autopsy, which the autopsy sometimes takes a while. Toxicology, hopefully we'll have all of that information. We were hoping we'd had it by today, but we went ahead and presented our case to the prosecutor, and so it's in his hands, and he said it's going to take his time because it's the file is fairly lengthy, and he's going to take his time and look at it and review it. And he said he couldn't give us a timetable as to when he's going to make his recommendation or his decision on the case. But we have looked at a lot. We've got some questions that we still can't get answered for one reason or the other. But that doesn't mean that we're not going to give up on it. But there may be some questions that we can answer at when it's all said and done. But anyway, that's where we're at today. And I've tried to call Mr. Clark this morning, trying to give him an update as well, and I didn't get an answer. But anyway, do you have any questions of me, or what?
Why?
Oh, I haven't talked to you.
Right.
This way.
So why are we still at a standstill on an arrest?
Well, ma'am, because right now we can't prove. I mean, it's like I told Mr. Clark. At this point, we could make an arrest, but we're a long ways from a prosecution. And in fact, I don't know that we'll ever get to a prosecution on it. Yeah, we may can get arrest on it, but that's not going to do, justice if we say, okay, well, we're going to arrest her and then turn around and lose it in court. That the law says, and I understand, and I understand your guys' point of view, and talking about leaving the scene of an accident. Arkansas law says you have to intentionally, one, know that you've caused injury to a person. Two, you have to just blatantly leave and not report it. The thing that she did wrong, she didn't call the police. Yes, she did leave. Yes, she did come back. When she saw the police there, she says, "Hey, I'm who you looking for?" She did not try to avoid us. She did not, when some people, and we're working another case like this where we have a whodunit. We had a body that was laying in the road. He'd been run over. We have a whodunit, and it's been going on for 4 years. And in this case, we know what happened. But did she intentionally leave, and had she known that she ran over somebody, and she would have drove the wheels off her van? But I'm not saying that what she did is right. If she would have just called the sheriff's office when she hit whatever she thought she hit, whether it be a deer, that's what she's telling us. If she would have just called us, we wouldn't even have this conversation, because there's no, that's the only thing that hinges on the Arkansas law is what was her intent. Was her intent to leave and not say, hey, I just ran over someone and I'm intentionally leaving and you're not going to find me and da-da-da-da. But that's what we have to look at. We have to look at what the law is going to allow us to do. And I'm not saying that we may not get to that point. We may not get to, we may get to where we can arrest her. If the prosecutor says, yeah, we've got enough to arrest her, and let's go to court on it. Let's let a judge and a jury decide on what we can do. But it's like, I've talked to several people throughout this whole ordeal, and that doesn't, whether we make an arrest or not, and doesn't negate the fact that a civil litigation could be filed against her and her insurance company. We're not saying that. We're just saying we have to look at it from a criminal aspect to say, okay, was there any criminal intent of, what was she doing at the time? What was going on? And, that's what we have to look at. Now, in a civil litigation, you don't have to prove as much as what we do in a criminal. So there's other options out there. We're not closing the door on anything if we don't make an arrest. We're just saying we don't have, we feel like, now we have, it's up to the prosecutor. We can make an arrest. The prosecutor is the one that's going to prosecute the case. And if he says we don't have enough to prosecute, then the rest goes null and void, and we're back to square one. But we're going to let him make the decisions. And he says to tell you guys that if y'all have any questions, to be sure to call his office and see where he's at, because he said he's going to take his time, look at it. And in this case, and I know it seems like the wheel of justice is moving slow. I agree with you, it does. But we're trying to turn over every rock we can to find out what was going on with your brother 24 hours before, and what was going on at the time of the accident. Why did somebody not give him a ride to Little Rock? Why was he out there at the time of night? And find out what she was doing 24 hours before. And you see, that's where we're at with this case. We're trying to cover answer every question we possibly can. And then again, there may be some questions that we can't answer, but at this point, that's where we're at.
So I noticed that this story keeps changing and changing, and it sounds like some of the very things that were revealed have been covered. So at what point did Sergeant Sanders decide that, oh no, she no longer came to the vehicle to pick up articles, but she came and she stated that, oh, she's the person that they're looking for?
Well, she came back. It's my understanding she came back to the vehicle.
To pick up articles from her vehicle is what was said.
I imagine, okay, articles, coming to get her vehicle. I mean, the vehicle was on the side of the road, just down from where the accident happened. And when she saw us, she approached the police. The police didn't approach her. And again, I know it's hard. It's going to be hard for you guys, and I understand that, and I feel for you guys. But if she was avoiding the police, she would have never stopped that vehicle. That vehicle, to my knowledge, and again, was not to where she couldn't have drove it off if she wanted to, or keep driving, or whatever the case may be. So, it's interpretation a little bit of, well, she came back to get articles, maybe so. Or did she come back to get her van? Maybe so. But she approached us instead of us saying, hey, what happened to your van? And her start avoiding our questions or whatever. She's been cooperative.
It's so funny. I just had a post that I was going to post on Facebook in regards to this, in regards to how it's so easy for an officer to share with a perpetrator that, you know what, we can use that you've been so cooperative in court to get you a lower sentence. And they go and they do that, and then they're mentioned after the judge, says his sentence. And this is what my hand to God, I just sat down, and for whatever reason, the Lord put it on my heart, and I wrote it out to put it on Facebook. But then the judge offers a sentence, and then the prosecuting attorney comes and shares with the judge that this person has been so commendable in regards to their working with the investigation. And then they turned around and lowered the sentence to little to nothing.
Let me say something. Okay? When I say she's being cooperative, that means she didn't run from us. She doesn't. Okay, had she have ran, we would still not have this question. If she would have ran off, avoiding us, knowing that she
couldn't have run off.
Us.
How was she going to run off if her vehicle was still there? If her vehicle had not been there, then she wouldn't have you guys would have never even knew who did it if her vehicle was no longer there.
And that's very possible. That's why I'm saying, when she approached us, she says, hey, she takes all of it away as saying, you don't need to be looking for anybody else. Here I am. I thought I hit a deer.
That's interesting because that's not what was told to us. What was shared to us was that the conversation was more so, what did you think when they seen her at the van or whatever, the vehicle, it was more so, what did you think you hit, a deer? And then the deer just came into the play.
Listen to me. I wasn't there. You weren't there. This Facebook stuff.
No. I didn't get that from Facebook. I got that from Officer Sanders. The articles, going back to the van, getting articles.
The only thing I can tell you is she identified herself as, hey, okay, the intent of the law says that if I know I hit a person or I tore up some property, I have to say, hey, I did this. This is who I am. Here's my information. Well, with her approaching us, it took all the guess out of it. We didn't have to go look for somebody, as in the other case that I'm telling you about. We don't have a clue as to who ran over that man, but yet we do in this case. And we're trying to get to the point of the law. What is the law going to allow us to do? We don't make the laws, man. We have to enforce the laws. And in this case, I don't know if we will get to an arrest. At this point, I don't know. We were just at the prosecutor's office. We spent over 2 hours with him, talking to him about this case. He's got the case. He's going to review it. He's going to render his opinion. And whatever his opinion is, whether we like it or not, is what we're going to have to go with. So from this point on, if you have any questions, you'll have to talk to him. It's still an ongoing investigation.
Is that, and we're saying, so now we talk to either Lieutenant Woodard or we talk to who? Because you haven't given out a name.
Jeff Rogers is the prosecutor.
Jeff Rogers.
Jeff Rogers. I'll give you a number. Ready?
Give me just a second, please. Okay.
Okay, it's area code 870-864-1960.
1960.
Yes, ma'am. Jeff Rogers.
Now, will you please educate me in, should a victim's family feel as their case or their investigation did not go properly, who is the proper authorities to speak to in regards to that, since it would no longer be your department?
I understand that, was it Mr. Clark who contacted the state police? Yes. Somebody's already contacted the state.
And that's Lieutenant Woodard. I understand that.
Lieutenant Woodard, was that you?
No, sir, it was not.
Okay. I don't, honestly, I guess the state police would be as far as our investigation, we would open arms with them, because technically, they should be the one to work in this case to begin with. But when we called them that morning, the only trooper that was available was on another call in another county. And to be honest with you, ma'am, you wouldn't have gotten half of what I believe this investigation has turned. They wouldn't have done half the work that we have put into this. And let me go back to day one, okay? Day one, we asked for an autopsy on your brother because we wanted to know what direction was he traveling. Was he facing the traffic, or was he walking away from the traffic? The crime lab says, you don't have a crime, so therefore we're not doing an autopsy on you. Man, we didn't take that, because I said, we've got answers. The family's going to have questions, and we need some answers. We called up there not once, not twice, but 3 times until we got them to do an autopsy on your brother. We wanted to know. We had questions. So they came and got him on Tuesday. They took him to Little Rock. We had one of our investigators there, and they did an autopsy on your brother that normally they don't do. They wouldn't have done toxicology on him. They wouldn't have done anything on him. It would have been logged as a accident, and it would have been done. But you call the state police. Our records are open to anybody that wants to come in here and look, as long as they're law enforcement, because it's continued. It's an open investigation. Once we close it, I understand there's been a lawyer that's called us and we've called him back. And, you know, we're not trying to hide anything, man. We're not, you know, and I keep getting questioned on our abilities, and we've done far and beyond.
Sheriff Robert,
what was it?
I'm not questioning your abilities. I'm not questioning any of you guys' abilities. No, what I'm questioning is whether or not this case is being treated with justice. Has it been complete? That's not questioning your ability. One can have the ability to do something one way, and one can have the ability to present it another way. I have not questioned any of y'all's ability. Anybody can have the ability to turn the cheek.
No, ma'am,
I'm not saying that's what you did. I'm sharing with you that anyone has that ability, so I'm not questioning the ability.
I'll tell you just like I do everybody else. I've been in this business 34 years. Okay? I treat everybody the same. It doesn't matter what color of skin they have, how rich or how poor they are. I treat every victim the same. I treat every suspect the same. We have 200 people back here. Means is we have 200 people back here that's made bad choices. Just because they're in jail, that doesn't mean they're bad people. Now, we got some back there that are bad, okay? I will admit that. But we treat, this is how my career has been for 34 years. I have treated people fair, and I will always treat people fair. We have gave Donald Manning a fair, we have done everything we possibly can to get these answers.
Sheriff Robert, we are not speaking of you. We are not speaking of you. I've seen your picture. I've looked in your eyes. And you know what? I'm so sorry, but God made us unique.
Yes, ma'am.
And nobody's content of character is identical. Nobody puts the same heart and soul and spirit into things. This is not a case about race. That wonderful young lady got on Facebook and she mentioned race and she called out race. We never, ever played the race card. Our family is a multicolor when it comes to race. So this is not about the color of skin. This is everything about the content of character.
Well, you know, and you and I can see this. But I've already been called racist over this case. I've been, you know, it's the people got on Facebook first off, said all the cops in South Arkansas are corrupt, we're this, we're that. There's been a lot of mudslinging going back and forth, and maybe not from the immediate family, but there's been cases on both sides that they're talking and they don't really know. I mean, you know, it was said that we didn't take blood from her, we didn't do this, we didn't do that. We've done all of it. We can't get out here and put on a showcase of what we've done in this case. And matter of fact, and I'm guilty of it as well, I've probably talked to the family and told them things that I probably shouldn't have told them going through this investigation. But I understand you guys want questions. If I was in your shoes, I would want questions answered. And then for me to just keep pushing you off and putting you off and putting you off, then yeah, it makes it look like that we've got something to hide. Man, I don't have anything to gain from arresting that lady or not arresting that lady. I'm going to do what the law will allow us to do, and now it's in the hands of the prosecutor, and he's going to tell us what we can do. And I'll be honest with you. Mr. Clark asked me yesterday, he said, what is your honest opinion of this case? And all I've got is my honest opinion. I've got a professional opinion about things, and then I've got a personal opinion about things. And a lot of times they don't go together. But my honest opinion about this case is we may have enough for an arrest. We may can squeeze an arrest out of it, but we'll never get a conviction in a court of law. And that's where we're at. And I wish it was different. I wish that we had a open and shut case. Yes, we do have, we do have a crime that's been committed, or no, we don't. And at the end of the day, that prosecutor is the one that's going to make that decision. Just because we arrest somebody doesn't mean that they're automatically guilty. They're automatically, go to jail. Yeah, most people think that. That once you get in jail, you're guilty of what you were charged with. Not necessarily, but.
Chef Robert,
anyway, this is
in regards to my honest opinion and my truth.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
The situation is bigger than that young lady. It's much bigger than her. It's in regards to how people view the justice system, how people view how they handle humanity, the lives of people, the lives of other family members in society or in the community. Had that young lady, and I don't have any ill feelings towards that young lady. I wish I could face her face to face and just let her know, you did it wrong, baby. I don't know what her truth is. I don't know what her life is. I don't know what her history is. I don't even know all the details of my brother's life and my brother's truth. But I am a Christian. And in my hearts of hearts, I think about her. I think about her being a mother. I think about her being just a citizen, a daughter, a sibling. And all I want to tell her is you did it wrong. You made the wrong choice. I don't know if you had negative intents towards my brother. I don't know that because I don't know y'all relationship. I don't know y'all history. But I do know in regards to the pain that my family is suffering, and in regards to not being able to let it go and to stop fighting and to stop struggling, you did it wrong. Whether it was my family member, whether it was somebody else's family member in the community, you did it wrong. And there's never been a word of remorse. We've heard because of the color of his skin. We've heard because he drinks, he smokes, because of what time he was out, his imperfections. That does not give you the right to take a life, and it does not justify it. And it does not give you the right or your family member to go and throw out a race card against the whole community and create chaos because you're suffering or you're wanting to get some type of support for a malicious act that was done and was not happened or was not taken care of properly. You don't get to do that. You don't get to tear up a whole city because of it. And then you have people who proudly deal with other races on a day-to-day basis, having to deal with issues within themselves, choosing sides. When this is not about race, it's about how you handled the situation. Even if it was a deer, there's a proper protocol. You pull the car up so far ahead of the deer and you turn on your emergency blinkers so that nobody else in the community can suffer, can be involved in an accident. There's certain protocols. You just did it the wrong way. If it was an accident, then you treat it and you handle it as such. But when you turn around and you behave so immaturely, whether it was fear or whatever, then this is the type of stuff that we deal with. This is the type of stuff that ends up in the communities. This is the type of stuff that ends up in families, and then it creates all of these energies, these negative energies. That's the reason this case needs to be handled correctly. I asked my brother, what is justice to you? She's a mother. She's a child. She's a daughter. What is justice to you? I asked my brother's wife, what is justice to you? What's going to give you justice? Because I know my heart. I know what that would look like in my life, in my eyes, to have to sit there and look at my child and know what I did. To look at my mom and wonder what she think of me. My siblings, my friends. So my justice for that young lady is not the same that my family feels because of their pain, because of their suffering, because I go on my knees and I pray. But when I look up and I see how everything is being handled in regards to the case, in regards to the investigation, and in regards to her not taking responsibility and accountability for how she handled the situation. There's a young lady that works with her side by side and says she comes to work, or she came to work after the situation. And you would have never known that she'd been through anything. You would have never knew that she was hurting or suffering from what she had experienced or what she had even learned, had she not learned it at that very moment.
Well, you know, I can't say anything as far as her actions after that. You know, she'll have to answer to her Lord and Savior on that part. What we have to do is we have to look at what was going on at the time that Mr. Manning was ran over. We have to look at that. That's what we have to deal with. All the stuff on Facebook, you know, we're not the social media police. To be honest with you, I think Facebook and all that other stuff has gotten way out of hand. There's been some things that have been said that, you know, it's hurtful. It's bad, hurtful for everybody involved. And you know, she will have to answer to all this. You know, at some point in time, and she knows what she did. She knows what she didn't do. All we can do is prove what we have, and if it's a crime that's been committed, we make an arrest. And you know, all I can do is you know, continue to push forward to see. We've got some other interviews. We've got one interview we need to follow up on, and the guy's trying to avoid us. We've been trying to get a hold of him all week. He won't return our phone calls. Every time we go to his house, he's not home. And
is that Teasley?
This is Teasley, yes, ma'am. And
what did she say about meeting with Teasley right before the accident?
We don't. Did she say to you that she met with him before the accident?
Someone said that they met before the accident.
See, people were talking out here, and early on, I told them, I said, look, get these people that are saying stuff like that, saying that she went to work, she's doing all this, get them to call us and let's talk to them. They won't do it. They will not talk to us. They will not. But they'll get on social media and they'll just keep on stirring this stuff, and it makes it hard for us. It makes it hard for us to say, okay, why is all this going? And we get out here and we start chasing ghosts, and when we find people, they say, well, I didn't say that, or I didn't do this. But like I said, we have checked with everybody. He was around that night. We talked to everybody. She was around that night, and it is. And like I said, if we can get, talk to him again, get toxicology, get the autopsy report, prosecutor's going to make his written and make his decision, and we're going to move forward. So.
Okay. There is still a little bit more left on that that audio. You guys, when I tell you that it gets overwhelming at times to have to go back and be back in that space. It's a lot. But I hope you guys heard enough in regards to what Chef Robert shared with me during that time, and was able to see some of the challenges that we had or that I struggled with when dealing with them or communicating with them. I am going to you guys can let me know. It's about 9:45. I was prepared to go ahead and move forward with sharing with you guys the audio regarding prosecuting attorney Jeff Rogers' explanation of why he hadn't pressed charges. If you guys are wanting to hear that, I will stop this one and I will start again. So you guys let me know if you want me to go ahead and move forward with that tonight, or should I wait till next week and do that? Which would you prefer? At least 3 people replied to me. Let me know. Let me know if you feel like this is a little bit too much as it is, or if I should go ahead and bring on his explanation of why he didn't press charges in the beginning, early on, I guess, and I guess that remains still to be the case since they still didn't press charges. Okay, so I didn't get a reply in regards to moving forward with that, so I'm going to call it quits for this weekend. I want to hear what he has to say. Okay, well, that's one person. If I get 2 more, then I'll go ahead and I'll start another audio, and we will listen to what Attorney Jeff Rogers had to say in regards to the charges. So 2 more people, or we're going to end this. And Mr. Monk, we will finish it off. We'll pick up on Monday. In the meantime, you guys, please continue to pray that I grow stronger in the Lord and for my strength. And I thank you guys for your support. Okay, I actually have another person who said they wanted to hear it. Give me one more, and we will end this audio, and I will bring it up on another one. See lots of hearts. Thank you. It really means a lot to me. Makes me feel loved. Thanks. I really appreciate it. Okay, so you guys, anybody else, they would be locked up. Yeah, that was my thought too, Chris. Let me see how long this one is. I know it's not as long. It's about 14, I think it's about 14 minutes. So you guys, I'm going to end this one, and then I'll give you, or should we just put it on this one? This is already like, what, 50 minutes? Why don't we end this one and we'll put it on another audio. So I'll start another one, and it's going to explain to you or give you the opportunity to hear why Mr. Rogers said that he did not move forward with pressing charges early on in the case. I'll see you guys on the next audio in just a moment. Be blessed.